Good afternoon and welcome to Boom Markets Talk Show. This is your host, Rian Hobson, and we're doing today's show the old words of Tito Mboweni when he was governor, when he used the words, the Hilux bakkie owners will suffer. Now, he was governor from 1999, August, I think there around 1999, until 2000, and I think 2009, he was the governor of the South African Reserve Bank. And he used the words, the Hilux bakkie owners that will suffer. But I will explain that later in the show. But this is all to do with the FOMC meeting that was done yesterday. So it will be a hectic show. It will be a bit longer, but please bear with me because there's quite a lot to explain. And I don't want you to miss out. I doubt we will ever see this again. The markets will shoot right through the roof. That is my personal opinion, and I will explain this. Markets will shoot right through the roof, and I will go through it step by step where we will cover the FOMC, and I will show you the line that changed everything. The oil price, the oil inventories that was out yesterday, Bitcoin, gold, the US dollar, the rand, and the South African economy. And what do I foresee for the South African economy going forward? But before I go on, please register for my YouTube page, and also please leave your comments on questions what you will have or what you want to ask based on today's show. And lastly, I just want to act, not lastly, but I still have to continue with the show. I just want to thank actually Marcus.com for all this infrastructure that was here. So please do subscribe on that link. And you will get also my free course, full course that you will get. So please do subscribe or do click on that link and actually register an account for you. And thanks a lot for Marcus.com to actually provide us all this infrastructure for me. And it will make it possible also for me to do actually broadcast longer starting next week, where I will do broadcasting longer for about 2 hours, because you will need actually a constant reminder of how the market behaves. And that is what markets.com is actually providing for me for today. So please stay tuned. This is where we will start now. It's based on the FOMC meeting. And just give me a minute here. On the FOMC meeting, where actually they actually had a meeting yesterday at 8 o'clock, and that is where the market actually started to go haywire. Now, that has everything to do with this part here. If you can see here, there's a line that was actually mentioned by the FOMC. I just want to actually to make the screen bigger for you. Okay, there we are. Yeah, I'm not going to go through the whole entire statement, but this is actually where it started. Last December, the committee indicated that it would continue to increase its holding of treasury securities by at least 80 billion per month, and of agencies' mortgage-backed securities by at least 40 billion per month, until substantial further progress has been made towards its maximum employment and price stability goals. Now, here it comes. Since then, the economy has made progress towards these goals. Now, that line there, that pushed up the dollar yesterday, just that small line there. It pushed up the dollar for about 5 minutes or so. And then it actually came back afterwards, and it never got up again. Now, that line where it says, since the economy has made progress towards these goals, it means that was actually said that they are making progress towards tapering. But the big question was, when they're going to start to taper, because the United States needs to taper. But that comment there was not serious enough. And then afterwards, Jerome Powell came at 8 o'clock, at 8:30 for the conference. And that is where everything started to change. The thing is that when he started to make those comments about there's still progress that needs to be made, they still need to do the employment and all of those things, that is where the dollar started to go down. Now, there's a fear of inflation in the United States. Now, there's things that happen normally in a fear of inflation. And honestly speaking, inflation takes time to go through the economy. It's not something that happens like this. It takes time before it started to materialize. And one thing specifically was the oil price. The oil price has been starting to move up quite steadily for quite some time now. And it was sitting at about, I'm just going to use the chart of markets.com. And the oil prices were sitting at 70 for some stage since Monday, and then it started to go up. I personally think that the oil price will definitely, basically on my opinion, that the oil prices has the potential actually to move towards these. I'm just going to open here. Okay, we're just waiting for the chart to open. Oil prices has the potential actually to go up to about $80. It can actually go further up if it needs be. It can go to 90. Some people say it can go to 100 or so, but it has the potential to increase. And if it does, it will create even more inflation. On top of that, you have inflation of, for example, of the weaker dollar. I don't know what's going on with this chart. You have the inflation of the weaker dollar. You will have the inflation of the oil prices, and that will spiral over to actually gold that goes up, because people will start to fear inflation, and what they do normally is run to gold. And that is where we look back in history, it comes to exact the same thing. It just always go back to actually to gold. And oil prices will definitely go up, because if you look at, for example, if you look at the oil inventories that were out yesterday, it was again in a drawdown with about 4 million barrels. So it means that the US economy is still keep on spending. And if you look at the credit, what I explained in the last podcast, I think 2 podcasts ago, where the credit is still going on in the United States because of the low interest rates and the high liquidity that is there. So all of those things will add to more inflation. And that's why I was disappointed yesterday where he didn't talk anything about tapering. So which means there is a high potential for inflation to go actually out of control. Now, on the other thing of Bitcoin, to be honest with you, I think Bitcoin will crash. Oh, sorry, not crash. It will actually go up. It's already at 40,000. I think it can go up to 60,000 of where it was at 65,000. I think personally, Bitcoin has the potential to go basically to 100 or so, or even more. Now, here is someone that's putting a comment, Stephen Andrews. I'm just actually going to show it here. If the dollar gets stronger, will that affect the uptrend of oil? Yes, I think so. It will. It will also bring down other commodities as well, especially gold, silver, copper, and all of those other things. It will also push those commodities also down. Thank you for the question. Now, as things stands, these guys are going to do nothing with tapering. They're not going to lift up the interest rates. They're going to leave it actually as it is. Someone was asking, Vincent was asking me about earnings. Okay, I didn't cover yet his earnings, but I think with all that record earnings that was done for the last week or last few days, I think Apple was coming out strongly, Tesla and all of them. I honestly think that is the last of it. I think for the next quarter, I doubt we will see that record amount of earnings again. Thanks for the question. On the other thing is with Bitcoin, I think definitely Bitcoin has the potential now to push over that 65,000 and go further on. The main thing why I'm saying that, listen, I'm still a novice when it comes to Bitcoin. I'm being reading on Bitcoin and all of those things. But when I saw when Bitcoin started was in 2008 when the Federal Reserve started to print money. And when they started to print money, that is where Bitcoin was created, because people fear that the money will become useless. And as things stands now, it looks like literally the dollar will become useless. And that's why I think Bitcoin has the potential of going up to 65,000 or even more. Honestly, there's someone that will help me also, Andrew Marina. He will help me with Bitcoin and also assist me with classes that I need to teach people regarding Bitcoin. I will not teach Bitcoin. I just think that he will be of more assistance to help when it comes to Bitcoin. But that is my personal opinion, where I think Bitcoin has the potential to go over 65,000 and go to 100,000, because the Federal Reserve just didn't learn anything about history, nothing. And I think the dollar will definitely fall. Also, going forward, with Bitcoin is the story of gold. If I just show you now this chart as well, I did show you this chart before, and it was of about, let me get this one. Yeah. It was about the story when it gets to inflation and United States. And I'm sure you guys heard about this, about the 1970 story about inflation. And it's literally, looks for me, it has the potential of literally repeating itself. Now, the US inflation is in blue, so please follow me. The US inflation is in blue. The US interest rates in red. Gold, you can see at that time where the price was gold at 367. Gold actually is in yellow, and then you have the dollar in black. Now, if you see here with inflation, inflation was moving rapidly up here. If I get to this point here on top. So inflation, which was in blue, was at 14%. That was inflation, because a lot of things happened during that time, the 1980s. Even the president at that time, I think it was Ronald Reagan, was shot. America went into a recession because of this inflation. And what happened here, when the inflation was reaching its peak, interest rates, you can see there in red, interest rates went to 20%. Now, they didn't have much of a choice. They needed to slam down the brakes and lift up the interest rates to 20%. Now, honestly, I was not even born in 1980. I only have these charts to tell you I didn't live through that period. But people that lived through that period will definitely tell you it was a difficult time, because interest rate was at 20%, inflation was at 14%. And look at the dollar here, flat out dead. Gold, on the other hand, also were up because of the high inflation, because people were moving to something that will have value. So that's where your commodities go up. Look, gold was here sitting at about 116. That was in 1976. And it went, by 1980, it actually went to 600. So 600 an ounce. So that is quite a lot of percentage there. And it moved actually very fast. So the thing is, gold will definitely, I can say gold will definitely go up because of the high inflation. So if we have high inflation, people were looking for something that had value. Weird things actually normally goes up. Cow prices, milk, artwork, old cars, stamps. People just want something with value. And that is where I think Bitcoin has a potential of going up. Gold has a potential of going up because of this behavior of the Federal Reserve. I personally think Jerome Powell made one hell of a mistake yesterday by not starting to taper yesterday. He made one hell of a mistake there. So that is where I actually have my eye on Bitcoin, gold, and the oil inventories. And as I just show you now with the US dollar, it looks like it will go down because of this unprecedented inflation numbers. Now, the most important part of today as a South African is actually the story of Tito Mboweni with the Hilux bakkie owners that will suffer. Now, he was governor of the Reserve Bank, as I mentioned. The thing is that in South Africa did experience numerous amounts of occasion of inflation, and Tito Mboweni was in both instances, he was the governor. Obviously, there was more stories with inflation in the 1970s in South Africa as well. Now, if I just show you another chart again about South Africa, just got to get this out. All right, second one. Okay. If I just show you this chart, oh no, this is this one. All right. Now, this is the South African economy. You have the South African inflation, you have the annual growth, and then you have the interest rates. Now, The chart here shows that this is actually the inflation that's in blue and the interest rates. Now, here the inflation started, the inflation had a really a bad time in South Africa, but inflation were up here, and this is where Tito Mboweni, 1998, he was the governor. I think he came in, yeah, he was governor at that time. No, 1999, he was not. This was the period where he came in, and it was 2000. So he ramped up the interest rates to 13% here, and inflation was at 13%. So that is where he was slamming on the brakes. The problem with South Africa with today, the 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 Reserve Bank governor last week, he warned actually of interest rate hikes that would come. According to my analysis, it looked like he will lift up the interest rates once the end of this year and about four times next year. Now, there's factors that goes in. One, obviously he didn't know about the I think he didn't know about the additional 350 rands that people that will receive that money of 350. That can lead up to easily to about 60 billion for the time period. Or it can be more because of the high unemployment rate in South Africa, and also there's additional recipients that will get the money. On the other thing is also is the pension funds that was announced yesterday, where people can withdraw a portion of their pension fund. So all that this additional money that will come in will literally fuel inflation further. You must remember, as I just said, oil prices will go up. It could be in favor for the rand because commodities are going up. The rand can go stronger. Fine. But the thing is, in South Africa, where inflation will get fueled, is with spending, aggressive spending from the people that will get additional social grants, and also the loosened money of the pension funds that will actually be loosened up for the people. So those will fuel up inflation, and we can expect, that is where the bakkie story comes in, that the fuel prices will go up because of the higher oil price. And that can actually get to this problem again where they need to lift up inflation. I don't think our current governor will allow inflation to run hot. He will slam on the brakes very quickly, because I can see it that he will lift up the interest rates four times next year. I think he can actually lift it up more. So honestly speaking, you as South African need literally, as I always been saying, that you need to look after yourself by having the knowledge and also to save up money for you. And that is the best thing that I can actually tell you now, is to save up money, because things will get a bit rough. I'm not sure on the social problems of South Africa, but with the people getting social grants, the extra money that will be in the economy, and the other thing, South Africa's government is running a heavy deficit. So with this heavy deficit, all of those things will add up to inflation, and things can get really ugly in South Africa. So you as a South African really need to look after yourself. I will be here every day from Monday to Friday from next year, from not next year, next week. I will be with you for about an hour or two, just to remind you what you need to do when it comes to trading. And just to give you that constant reminder. Thanks a lot for Marcus.com to make this possible. And on the subscription, you can click on that, register account for you. I will give you absolute free classes, because believe me, things will not be so simple for you and I as traders, but for the man on the street, it can get very difficult. Thanks a lot for listening. Please subscribe for my YouTube page. It helps a lot. And please do actually register for your account. And then I will see you tomorrow at the same time at 1 o'clock. Bye-bye.